Hello, I'm Kellen, and now in this tutorial we will talk about how to use a broker. In the previous tutorial you were introduced to the concept of a broker, and now we're going to take a look at how we can actually use one. So I will actually be copying and pasting code from a pre-existing uh, file just to save me the time of typing it all out. But the first thing we're going to do is we are going to import everything that we're going to need for this project. So again, we're going to need the AL proxy, AL broker, and AL module. And we're also going to need option parser. So there's two different ways that some Python code can be run. One is if we run it directly ourselves, such as going up to run and run module. That would run our Python code. Another way is to have some other Python code and call our Python code. So this would be an example of when we call the text-to-speech, and we go tts.say. Our Python code calls some other Python code that runs. So this is relevant to us because whenever we run this code directly, we're passed a variable called name, and this name is main. And we can use this to determine whether or not this is the main program that we're running or whether someone else called this. So I'm just going to write the code and we'll see how we can use this. So again, we just check to see if the name is main, and if it is, then we run the function main. So within main, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up our broker. So this is important because if we run this code as main, then we need to set up the broker. But if someone else is calling it, they already set up a broker, so we don't need to do that. And setting up our own broker would just break the system. So let's go ahead and create our main function. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to create our broker. We're going to do that by this code here. All right. So we're creating my broker. My broker is an AL broker, and we pass it the name of the variable. So this value right here needs to exactly match this value here. We're going to have our broker listen to the IP address 0000, which is actually anyone. So it's not listening to a specific IP address, but anyone who tries to contact it. We're also going to find any port that we can, so that's why the 0 is there. Now, in order to have our broker communicate with the now's broker, we need to give our broker the IP address of the now as well as the port of the now. So that's what these two things down here are doing. So now that we have our broker set up, we're going to initialize our module. So we're going to create a global variable called human greeter, and human greeter is a human greeter module. And again, we need to pass in this exact name, so these two things have to match exactly. Okay, after we create our human greeter module, we're just going to have our program do something that isn't entirely useful. All we're going to have it do is we're going to have it wait in an infinite loop. So while true, we're going to sleep 1. And this is because the human greeter module is actually waiting for an event to occur. It's not waiting for us to call it directly, but it's waiting for a face to be recognized. And when a face is recognized, it runs its own code. So this is acceptable. We can have an infinite loop right here and just do nothing while our code runs kind of in the background. Now, we don't want this to run forever because we want the user to be able to stop it. So the only exception that we're going to have is for a keyboard interrupt. So when the user presses Control-C to stop the program, we're going to print out that we were interrupted by the user and we're shutting down, and then shut down our broker. This is important because if we forget to shut down our broker, then the next time we try to run this code, the now could think that we already have a broker and wouldn't like that we try to create another one. Or some other errors could occur. So just always remember to shut down the broker. Okay, so this is nice. We have a human greeter module that is waiting for people to detect it. The only thing we have to do now is actually write that human greeter module. So it's actually going to be a class called human greeter module. Let's go ahead and copy that over here. So all this module does is react whenever a face detect event occurs. And the first thing we need to do is to initialize this. So whenever we create a new human greeter module, we want some code to run. This code can be put into the function init. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to let this module be an AL module, so we're going to initialize it as an AL module. And then we're going to create a text-to-speech proxy. Now this declaration right here is a little different from what you've previously encountered. Normally it looks like something like this, where we have to give it the IP address of the now and the port that we want to connect on the now. But because we've created a broker, our broker knows where the AL text-to-speech is, and so we don't need to worry about where the now IP address is or the port. So the brokers take care of that. We're also going to create a global variable called memory, and memory is going to be the AL proxy AL memory. Now we're going to have memory subscribe to the event face detected. This event occurs whenever the now recognizes a face or detects a face. We have to tell memory that the module that wants to subscribe is called human greeter, which is us, and that whenever a face is detected, human greeter wants to run the function on face detected, which is great, but we don't have an on face detected yet. So the next thing we're going to have to do is we will have to define the function on face detected. Okay, so this gets called whenever the now recognizes a face or detects a face. The first thing we want to do is actually unsubscribe from the face detected event. This is because every time that a face is detected, we try to run this program, or this function. So if we have a face detected, and we start running some code down here, and another face gets detected, we're actually going to jump all the way back up here and start all over again. So if we unsubscribe from the event, we can do everything that we need to, and then resubscribe to the event, and that takes care of some problems that may occur. So we unsubscribe, and then we can do whatever we want to. So for example, we create a variable called val, and that is equal to the data from memory in the face detected. So we could, for instance, see if we know who it is, and we could say hello to them. But since our now doesn't have any faces recognized, we're just going to simply, faces that it can recognize, we're just simply going to say hello friend. And once we're done, we subscribe to the event, again, same as we did up here, and then we're good to go. There are a few things I need to include from the other file. For example, we need the human greeter and memory both to be global variables. So we just need those up there. And then when we create the broker, we also need to know the now IP and the now port. So let's go ahead and grab those from over there. Paste them. So our now IP address is 10.0.0.66, and the port again is 9559. So now if we save this and we run it, now it should just wait, and then when I put my face in front of it, it should say hello friend. Click on this first. Okay, so our now is now sitting there and waiting for a face to be in front of it. So if I put my face in front of it,
hello friend. Hello friend.
It recognizes me.
Hello friend.
And there we go. That is how we use brokers, and also how we subscribe to memory.